Having a reactive dog can be one of the most difficult and stressful situations to deal with in your day-to-day life as a dog owner. And I've helped hundreds of dog owners bring their dogs from reactive to completely neutral. Small dogs, big dogs, tons of different breeds. I have the answers for you. Here are 5 things that you should do every day to completely fix your dog's reactivity. We'll see you in the video. So the first thing that you should be practicing with your dog every day is working at threshold. And if you don't know what threshold is, it is the point where your dog stops reacting at whatever trigger it may be. So in this example, we're gonna have a dog that's reactive, and they will react at dogs 20 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet away. But the second they get to 50 feet away, it's far enough away where the dog stops reacting. And so that is our threshold. And we want to continue every day to push our dog closer and closer. And I'm going to be giving you some helpful tips in the remaining 4 pieces of advice to get through and push that threshold closer. But working at threshold is really important. And the further we can push threshold, bring it from 50 feet to 45 to 40 to 30, the quicker our dog is going to understand, and it's going to make things really easy. The second thing you should be working on with your dog every day is improving your relationship in areas and situations where your dog isn't reactive. And most of the time that means, in our house, in our living room, when we're going outside and there's not other dogs and our dog isn't reactive, we want to improve our relationship, because this will start to teach our dog that they are not in charge, that all they have to do, that their only job is to pay attention to us for guidance, and that anything else really doesn't matter. And this starts with working on our obedience inside. If you have a reactive dog and your dog can't sit down, stay, come in a low distraction environment for no treats, right, just because you're asking your dog to, I bet you there's an underlying issue there, and that's probably part of the cause of reactivity. And working with hundreds of dogs, I have seen this time and time again, that just not even focusing on the reactivity, but just working on our obedience and our relationship and teaching our dog yes and no and what sit and what down means. Working on this will significantly improve our reactivity, and oftentimes our reactivity will almost totally disappear. That also leads into loose leash walking. If we can loose leash walk, that's part of our obedience and it's part of our relationship. Our dog will, their whole mindset will be different. And I mean, think about the one side. If our dog is obedient and can always listen to our commands versus doesn't know the commands and can only respond to them when, we have a treat in our living room for them, there's a big difference in that relationship, and you'll notice a huge difference just improving our relationship with your dog. The third thing that I want you to work on every day, and this relates back to working your dog at threshold, but is teaching your dog to make good decisions. And I could talk for an hour about teaching your dog to make good decisions, but at the end of the day, your dog, even if it's not dealing with reactivity, but especially with the reactivity, they need to know what is right and what is wrong. And that all starts with using a tool that we can communicate with our dog with, right? A harness is the opposite. What a harness does is it takes away our communication with the leash. We want the opposite of that. We want a prong collar or a slip lead or sometimes even a flat collar, but a tool that we can put on our dog and, really teach our dog what it means and how to turn the pressure off, but where we can use pressure and communicate, hey, that is wrong. And oftentimes, a correction with one of these tools looks just like this, right? It's almost like a tap on the shoulder. The whole idea of a correction is to get our dog to stop a behavior. And if you're dealing with reactivity, oftentimes your dog's motor is at, close to 100 out of 100. And that might mean that we have to use more pressure to just get our dog's attention. It's like the difference between me whispering at you, in my living room versus talking to you at a concert. If we're at a concert, an outdoor concert, and there's loud music, I'm gonna have to scream at you to get your attention and to talk to you. And sometimes that's what we kind of need to do with our dog. We're not gonna yell at our dog, but using pressure in situations, again, just enough pressure to get their attention and teach our dog to start making good decisions. To do that, once we have a tool that we can use, what we do is we go into areas just a little past threshold where our dog reacts, where the triggers are located. oftentimes this is other dogs, and we're gonna work a little past threshold, and we're not gonna put our dog in a heel command. We are going, we're gonna have our dog on a 4 or 6 foot leash, and they're gonna be free to loose leash walk, and we're going to encourage decisions and behaviors. And so if they start reacting, if they get worked up, this is where we will correct and punish that behavior. And if they don't get worked up, even if they look at the dog and then look at you, immediately that is where we pay our dog, reinforce our dog. And in this situation, I would recommend kind of getting rid of treats, especially when our dog's motor is so high. They're probably not going to take treats, and it's probably not going to do anything if they do. Instead, we make a big deal about it when they don't react. Like, yes, right? Like, this should be a huge payment, using our words, using our pets, right? That was a great decision, and we want to make it clear that that was right. But when our dog reacts, and they are bound to react, especially if they're reactive, lie down. What we want to do is punish, discourage that behavior. Just get our dog's attention, get them to stop reacting, using just enough pressure to get them to stop reacting. And then when they stop reacting, we fill that void behind that with good behavior. And practicing this every day, really at the end of the day, all you're doing is discouraging bad decisions on your dog's part and encouraging, heavily encouraging good decisions, making it clear this is right, a big payment when they do something good, and a clear no, a firm correction when they do something wrong. Your dog will very quickly start to understand that they are solely responsible for what happens. And once you start making the progress, it's going to get better so quickly, and your dog's not going to be stressed. And in fact, your dog's going to be a lot happier in their day-to-day life because they don't have to be anxious about it. And you're going to be happier, and you're probably going to be more inclined to take your dogs on more walks because they're not reacting, and it's more peaceful and it's more pleasant. And that's how you create the clarity and teach your dog to make good decisions. That leads me right into my 4th tip for you, which is don't avoid your dog's triggers. Assuming that your dog is reactive to other dogs and that's their issue, what I see every single day in my life is people who have reactive dogs, when they see another dog, they try to get away from the dog. And this is harder in cities or kind of more urban environments, but we kind of want to do the opposite. And I'm hardwired to do this because I do this every day, but most people aren't. But that is to make every single opportunity out in public a learning opportunity. If we see a dog, I'm literally going to go out of my way to go towards the dog to make it a learning and a training opportunity. And if we do that, part of some dogs' issues is every time they see a dog, they have some reactivity, and the owner and the dog sees another dog and they go the other way, and the dog starts to think like, what the heck is going on? This is weird. We want to set the opposite expectation. We see a dog, we're going towards them, and we are going to be calm as we pass dogs and making everything a learning opportunity, right? Training is always going on. Training doesn't stop ever. And this is part of training. Putting your dog through stressful situations and making them grow, making them better dogs for it. You will start to see a huge difference if you put your dog into stressful situations and make it learning opportunities, teaching your dog to make good decisions. And last but not least, the 5th tip for you is throw your dog's food out. And I don't mean throw your dog's food out, not feed your dog. What I mean is get rid of treats, get rid of anything you're feeding your dog when you're trying to work on their reactivity. And it might sound a little counterintuitive. You might be like, Ethan, like that's crazy, like they're dogs, they need treats. But oftentimes when I see people trying to fix a dog's reactivity, if the timing isn't perfect, it's really difficult. Oftentimes people are actually encouraging their dog with treats, and they're also making their relationship with their dog a lot more transactional, where the dog will react, the dog stops reacting, and then they get paid. They get fed for stopping reacting, but they react in the first place. And so it gets really difficult, and it kind of messes up our relationship with our dog when we're just kind of Pez dispensing treats into their face. And I'd encourage you, don't even bring treats on your walk when you're, working with your dog's reactivity. Or if you are, I limit you to 3 treats over the course of, a 20 or 30 minute walk. You can only pay your dog 3 times. And that doesn't mean break it in half, every one in half, and now you have 6. No, you can only pay your dog 3 times, and they have to be really good times. And so when we remove treats or, significantly bring back the payment of treats, we actually start to focus more on our relationship, on showing our dog when they do something right, making it really clear that it's right, giving them pets, giving them love and affection. And that's also a lot more clear to the dog, and the dog's not using us for food, which again, I see all the time. And this is, you know, I think one of the bigger issues when people are training their dogs to fix their reactivity is they just, you know, they take treats and they think that, you know, just, you know, kind of waving our dog off the treats is going to fix their issues. And, you know, 99% of the time it's not. So try throwing out treats. Once your dog gets it down, you can bring a couple more treats into the mix. But if you've seen any of my training videos, you see that, you know, I'll use treats to shape behaviors, but once a behavior is shaped, once we teach a dog that sit means sit, the treats are really gone, and we just focus on our relationship, and that's the best way to have a healthy relationship with your dog and stop your dog from reacting on a day-to-day basis and really ever again. This has worked with every single dog that I have trained. I have not had a dog that I've not been able to fix their reactivity. I will say some dogs need a little bit more management down the road, especially like working line dogs, dogs that are higher strung. They will need more kind of babysitting along the way and consistent reinforcement, but being really consistent with it, your dog's reactivity will completely leave your household. If you found this video helpful, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. I am here to help you along your journey fixing whatever issues your dog may have. And if you're still around in this video, your dog's probably reactive. So let me know how it's going in the comments below. I'd love to see it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We'll see you in the next one.